up you all, Ivy here, and today I'm about to show you new sick ass drums. Check this shit. Damn, that was tight as fuck, so without further ado let's go for the shit. First of all, just as always I use complex pack of them different drum shits. So what we got here is Superior Drummer Metal Foundry, which is our main drum tone. Snare trigger that I got from Superior Drummer Avatar from one of them presets from Bub Pack. SSD kick trigger, which means that we use Steven Slate drums for the shit. And same thing with the snare trigger. So let's start from Metal Foundry kit. I'm going to click on them drums now so you can check names of used samples in this window. No any kind of internal processing, because we're gonna do it all outside of sampler, so we use multi-out mode, which means that each mic or group of mics goes to its own output outside of sampler. I'm not gonna spend your time by saying same old shit about what goes where because you can see them names pretty clear, but there's one things that I need to tell you about. This time we have additional channel called rides, and it's basically just OH drummer mic with focused ride bleeds. However, there is also kicks and snares, so it sounds less isolated, more dirty and natural. Rest of them channels have customized bleed settings as well, so instead of reviewing all of them shits, there will be Superior Drummer preset at the additional files. Here you will also find this drum map which I made for this drum kit. Spent shit ton of time to name all that shit, but as a result we have complex drum map which is perfect for realistic drum programming. Speaking of velocity levels, it's 127 everywhere except for ghost notes of snare drum. Now speaking of routing outside of sampler, every single channel in this session routed straight to master bus. Now let's go for processing, starting from kick. First plugin is Envelope Shaper, which decreases 16 milliseconds attack, so kick's transient sounds bit less aggressive. SSL channel with kick drum preset. Not sure if I haven't changed anything here, but still, you can see everything pretty clear. Next plugin is first of 3 EQs. Use this one to clean up the spectrum and also boost on highs for brightness. NLS and mic mode. Amount of drive is pretty solid, plus we use dual mono mode, which means that kick goes slightly off of center of the stereo field. Our bass exciter to focus low end body of kick and make it heavier. Cleaning EQ to get rid of unwanted sub-lows, resonance on 100 Hz and harshy zone on highs. And last EQ to finalize cleaning work. This time we reduce 2 other zones and make our kick smoother with low pass filter. And last thing is sidechain compressor driven by bob snare channel, just to avoid of stacking transients when both hits at the same time. Send to reverb bus. Snare. First thing is EQ with complex timbre shape. Ssl compressor with longest 30 milliseconds attack time and pretty high amount of compression. As a result we get slightly fuller sound. Last EQ finalize timbre work by applying them low pass and high pass filters, even more cuts on low mids and highs, and finally wide and transparent boost of highs for brightness. NLS with pretty big amount of drive to make it more aggressive. And finally envelope shaper to decrease that little last ringy sustain tail. As a side effect we also reduce bleed. Think it could be replaced with simple gate. Speaking of sends, first one for reverb bus. And second one trigger side chain compressor on overheads channel. Helps to create overall pulsation between elements of drum kit, and by doing this shit glue them together a bit more. Floor toms. First thing is black 76 with 1 decibel of compression. Oxford inflator adds solid dose of saturation and helps to get more kind of in-phase sounding. However, difference looks pretty subtle because of compensated output. EQ with boosted lows and high mids for power and tinnitus, plus we get rid of that clicky presence. NLS for console saturation. Again, with compensated output. Send to reverb bus. Speaking of rack toms. Processing model is exact copy of floor toms. The only difference is this band here. This time it cuts boomy lows. Send to reverb as well. Hi-hat. First thing is EQ, where we get rid of unwanted low and bleed and fizzy highs using low pass and high pass filters. Also get rid of problem zones using few bell filters. NLS with crazy amount of drive to change stereo field of this channel. Notice how closer it moves to center of stereo field. And last EQ finalized timbre work. Send to reverb bus. Overheads. First thing in chain is Ssl Compressor with amp preset, makes overheads fuller and fatter. EQ with complex timbre shape to get rid of unwanted low and bleed and focus important high mids and presence. Second, Ssl compressor to make them shit sit well in mix. For some reason I forgot about volume compensation here, so we can't really compare it, but just trust me, it works. Sidechain compressor. I told you about this shit earlier, so now you can actually see it doing the shit. NLS with same old drive and gain compensation. Send to reverb. Rides channel. First thing is CLA76 for subtle but aggressive compression, thanks to short attack and release settings. Holy Mother of God. Complex timbre shape which generally makes rides fatter and less ringy. Keep in mind that you can find this and every single other EQ preset from this guide at the additional files pack, just in case if you want to recreate this shit. CLA2A with smooth and obvious compression to help them ride, sit and mix. NLS. Damn, looks like I just spammed same shit everywhere. Send to reverb. Ambience. First thing is SSL channel with room preset. Y'all know how I do with CLA76 all mode, but I found that the shit do it much better when it comes to room preset. Main goal here is compression. EQ moves doesn't make much sense because source sound is pretty dirty and will need very complex cleaning EQ anyways. L2 limiter to reduce them snare hits. I told you we're gonna clean it up. Look, this shit is really big, so let's just do overall bypass so you can understand what it does in general. Again, all presets at the additional files. And last, EQ here to avoid if frequency conflicts with other elements of mix, especially with overheads. Check this shit. Send to reverb. Bob snare trigger. This time we use Avatar library, with this snare drum only. This time we mostly go for internal processing, just because I like the way this shit sounds. Here's the settings of them shits. Speaking of processing, we have this EQ here to cut out ringy mids and also add them highs for brightness. Gate helps to get control on long sustain of the sample. Send to reverb. SSD kick trigger. Look, first of all, SSD kick and SSD snare has exactly same sampler settings and processing model. I just separated it to get more options in case of levels and level automations. Both still have samples of each other, so be sure to separate MIDI information for them channels as well. Keep snare MIDI on snare trigger and do the same with kick. Let's go for the shit. Kick Black NRG and snare Black Beauty 6.5. Here's the levels. Bleed settings doesn't make sense because of the fact that room and overheads are turned off. First thing in chain is EQ with transparent timbre shape on lows and highs. Ssl Compressor for slight control on dynamics. /670 Compressor by T-Rax. For this channel it stays untriggered, works only on SSD snare. It also boosts volume, so I decided to leave it as it is. Last EQ finalize cleaning work. Notice 5 decibels gain compensation. Send to reverb bus and side chain compressor on overheads. SSD snare trigger. As I said, we have almost same processing model, but this time we don't have Ssl compressor and chain. Plus there is no 6 kHz bell drop here and also no any gain compensation. Send to reverb bus only. Speaking of reverb bus, that's how it sounds soloed. Reverb settings based on Ariel Hall preset. And just a bit of EQ to make sure that it doesn't conflict with other elements of mix. Before we will finally go for master bus processing, take a look at them levels and panning settings one more time. So speaking of master bus, just as always we have 10 decibels input attenuation to have enough headroom on NLS. First plugin and chain is NLS bus. Y'all already know what it is, don't you? EQ with slight timbre changes and also low cut filter on side of the stereo. There is also a decibels boost as a compensation of attenuation in front of this bus. Stereo imager to enhance stereo a bit. Multi-bin compressor to get control on dynamics of drums and make them fatter and fuller. And finally our regular ass limiter with these settings. So that's pretty much it. For those of you who want to get additional files pack, which includes pack of Pro Q presets, pack of Superior Drummer presets, Cubase template, and my custom drum map, you will find all of them shits in my private post on Patreon, which will be available after pledging $1. By doing this you will also get access for rest of my private content and help me keep doing what I do. Link is in the description. So hope you learned thing or two from this guide. See you next time.